Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Pallavi Manchanda and with me is Renuka, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. First, the headlines. Global Initiative Lifestyle for Environment movement launched by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on World Environment Day calls for human-centric and collective efforts that further sustainable development. Western nations are exploiting more resources of Earth and are responsible for largest carbon emissions, says Prime Minister Modi. India's Vice President Venkaiah Naidu holds delegation-level talks with Qatar Prime Minister in Doha, reviews bilateral ties. In Bangladesh, at least 37 people killed and around 400 injured in a fire at a container depot near Chattogram port. Russian President Vladimir Putin warns West against supplying longer-range missiles to Ukraine. And Rafael Nadal wins 14th men's singles title of French Open tennis, beating Casper Ruud 6-3, 6-3, 6-0 in the final. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the challenges of planet Earth are well known to all and the need of the hour is human-centric collective efforts and robust action that further sustainable development. Launching a global initiative Lifestyle for the Environment Life movement on the occasion of World Environment Day on 5th June through video conferencing, Mr. Modi said the vision of life is to live a lifestyle that is in tune with our planet and does not harm it, and those who live such a lifestyle are called pro-planet people. He said Mission Life borrows from the past, operates in the present and focuses on the future. The Prime Minister said reduce, reuse and recycle are the concepts woven in our life, and circular economy has been an integral part of our culture and lifestyle. He said thanks to our 1.3 billion Indians, India has been able to do many good things for the environment in the country. The forest cover in the country is increasing and also the population of lions, tigers, leopards, elephants and rhinos. India has achieved 10% ethanol blending in petrol 5 months ahead of the November 2022 target. The Prime Minister said India's commitment to reach 40% of installed electric capacity from non-fossil fuel-based sources has been achieved 9 years ahead of schedule.
Our commitment to reach 40% of installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel-based sources has been achieved 9 years ahead of schedule. About 370 million LED bulbs have been distributed in the last few years. This has contributed to energy saving of about 50 billion units of electricity per year. It has also ensured a reduction of almost 40 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. We have achieved 10% ethanol blending in petrol 5 months ahead of the November 22 targets.
Mr. Modi called upon people to follow the principle of reuse, reduce and recycle.
We should also be open to sharing our best practices with others and learning from the successful practices of others. Mahatma Gandhi talked about a zero carbon lifestyle. In our daily life choices, let us pick the most sustainable options. Let us follow the principle of reuse, reduce and recycle. Our planet is one, but our efforts have to be many. One earth, many efforts.
The launch initiated live global call for papers, inviting ideas and suggestions from academics, universities and research institutions to influence and persuade individuals, communities and organizations across the world to adopt an environment-conscious lifestyle. The idea of life was introduced by Prime Minister Modi during the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference of the Parties, COP26, in Glasgow last year. The idea promotes an environment-conscious lifestyle that focuses on mindful and deliberate utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption. The program also witnessed participation of co-chairman Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Bill Gates, climate economist Lord Nicholas Stern, author of Nudge Theory Professor Cass Sunstein, CEO and President World Resources Institute Anuradha Dasgupta, UNEP Global Head Ms. Inger Anderson, UNDP Global Head Achim Steiner, World Bank President David Malpass, among others. Mr. Gates said that he was inspired by India's leadership and efforts to curb rising emissions.
I congratulate Prime Minister Modi for taking the lead on this global initiative of citizen action to promote pro-climate behaviors. Together, we can build a green industrial revolution, one that stops climate change, protects vulnerable communities, and puts the world on a path to progress.
Professor Cass Sunstein said that India and Prime Minister Modi have been the world leaders with respect to environmental protection and climate change and human behavior, and many of us are looking at India for inspiration and ideas. Ms. Inger Anderson also spoke on the occasion and welcomed the launch of LIFE by Prime Minister Modi. Mr. Achim Steiner said that countries like India are serving as kinetic energy behind the decisive climate action on the world stage. That includes its work through cutting-edge initiatives like International Solar Alliance and Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure and One Sun, One World, One Grid. Lord Nicholas Stern recalled Prime Minister's landmark speech at COP26 at Glasgow to set out an inspiring vision of a new path of development. Mr. Malpass recalled the words of Indian scriptures on the centrality of the environment in the Indian ethos. He also praised India's local initiatives like Poshan, Asha and Swachh Bharat, people helping in financial inclusion and localizing the initiative.
India's Anganwadi workers who focus on children in rural areas, self-help groups of women mobilized around access to credit, and ASHA health workers. These are examples of frontline workers who are embedded in communities and work at scale. The Poshan program of IND owes its success to the frontline workers fighting malnutrition affecting children, adolescent girls, and expectant mothers. Localizing decisions to the community level has been an important part of India's development philosophy. The White Revolution, which changed the dairy industry, was catalyzed by the cooperatives managed by communities. Similarly, the Swachh Bharat sanitation program relied on behavior change and community ownership of the mass action has been an integral part of its progress.
Indian Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change Bhupender Yadav and Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant were present on the occasion.
Earlier addressing a program on Save Soil movement in New Delhi on the occasion of World Environment Day, Prime Minister Modi said India's efforts to protect the environment have been multifaceted even though the country's role in climate change is negligible. He said the developed Western nations are not only exploiting more and more resources of the earth, but also responsible for the largest carbon emissions.
विश्व के बड़े और आधुनिक देश न केवल धरती के ज्यादा से ज्यादा संसाधन का दोहन कर रहे हैं, बल्कि सबसे ज्यादा कार्बन एमिशन भी उन्हीं के खाते में जाता है। कार्बन एमिशन का ग्लोबल औसत प्रति व्यक्ति 4 टन का है, जबकि भारत में प्रति व्यक्ति कार्बन फुटप्रिंट प्रतिवर्ष आधे टन के आसपास ही है, कहां 4 टन और कहां आधे टन। बावजूद इसके भारत पर्यावरण की दिशा में एक होलिस्टिक अप्रोच के साथ न केवल देश के भीतर बल्कि वैश्विक समुदाय के साथ भी जुड़ करके काम कर रहा है।
The World Environment Day is observed every year on 5th of June to raise global awareness to take positive environmental action to protect nature and the planet Earth. The theme of this year's World Environment Day is Only One Earth. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, who is in Qatar on the last leg of his ongoing 3-nation tour, held delegation-level talks with Sheikh Khalid bin Abdulaziz Al Thani, the Prime Minister and Minister of Interior of Qatar in Doha on Sunday. He also called on Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, father of Amir of Qatar, highlighting that India and Qatar have historic ties built on mutual trust and respect. Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani hoped that more investments can be made by Qatar in India and more industrial and business houses can establish economic ties with Qatar. The Vice President and father of Amir agreed that there is a huge potential to diversify trade between the two countries, have comprehensive energy partnership and a mutually beneficial investment partnership between India and Qatar. The ambassador of China in Qatar, Dr. Deepak Mittal, had a meeting in the Foreign Office in Doha on Sunday in which concerns were raised with regard to some offensive tweets by individuals in India denigrating their religious personality. The ambassador conveyed that the tweets do not in any manner reflect the views of the government of India, and these are the views of fringe elements. The ambassador said, in line with the civilizational heritage and strong cultural traditions of unity and diversity, India accords the highest respect to all religions. He said strong action has already been taken against those who made the derogatory remarks. A statement issued by the embassy said vested interests that are against India-Qatar relations have been inciting the people using these derogatory comments, and we should work together against such mischievous elements who aim to undercut the strength of the bilateral ties.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion: 8 years of service, good governance and welfare of the poor, economy and reforms.
The reforms and development in the country's economy in the last 8 years have given this opportunity to the countrymen that today we can proudly say that India is the fastest growing economy in the world. The last 2 years have been a difficult time for the whole world, but according to the IMF, the rate of growth of the Indian economy has been estimated at 8.5% for 2022. The country's foreign exchange reserves have reached nearly $600 billion. Exports are at an all-time high, and India has received the highest foreign direct investment ever in the financial year 2021-22. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while addressing the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos this year via video conference, said that it is because of India's commitment to deep economic reforms that it has now become one of the most attractive places for investment in the world.
डीप इकोनॉमिक रिफॉर्म्स को लेकर भारत का कमिटमेंट एक और बड़ा कारण है जो आज भारत को इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए सबसे अट्रैक्टिव डेस्टिनेशन बना रहा। कोरोना काल में जब दुनिया क्वांटिटेटिव ईजिंग प्रोग्राम जैसे इंटरवेंशन पर फोकस कर रही थी, तब भारत ने रिफॉर्म्स का रास्ता सशक्त किया। डिजिटल और फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को आधुनिक बनाने के सबसे बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स को कोरोना काल में ही अभूतपूर्व गति दी गई।
With the coming to power in 2014, the government launched a massive campaign to open Jan Dhan bank accounts, through which more than 44 crore 23 lakh Prime Minister Jan Dhan bank accounts have been opened so far. According to the latest data of the Ministry of Finance, a total amount of more than 1,50,000 crore rupees was deposited in these accounts till December last year, which is a big achievement in itself. As a next step, the government linked the Jan Dhan accounts with Aadhaar numbers and mobiles, which revolutionized the way of making benefits and subsidies directly accessible to the bank accounts, reducing corruption. On this subject, All India Radio spoke to Ajay Bhushan Pandey, former Finance Secretary of the country and former Chief Executive Officer of Unique Identification Authority of India, who explained how the combination of JAM, that is Jan Dhan account, Aadhaar and mobile, has transformed the Indian economy.
आधार को मोबाइल से जोड़ करके, बैंक अकाउंट से जोड़ करके आज हमारे जो लाभधारक हैं उनके अकाउंट में सीधे पैसा जाता है। किसान सम्मान योजना, स्कॉलरशिप या उज्ज्वला योजना, सरकार के जितने बेनिफिट्स हैं वो सभी आज के दिन में सीधे जो लाभधारक हैं उनके बैंक अकाउंट में जाते हैं। सभी तरह के बिचौलिए थे वो सब खत्म हो गए। पिछले कुछ सालों में 2 लाख करोड़ से ज्यादा की बचत हुई।
Implementation of GST was a complex task, which has realized the dream of one nation, one tax, and has proved to be a milestone in the direction of ease of doing business.
दर्जनों टैक्सेस और सेस को हटा करके पूरे देश में एक वस्तु का सिर्फ एक ही कर और व्यवस्था बनाई गई कि जो व्यापारी है उसको सिर्फ एक जगह रिटर्न फाइल करना है। उसका अगर बिजनेस है 10 राज्यों में है तो 10 राज्य में अलग अलग फाइल करने की जरूरत नहीं है। तो इसमें इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स का जो एक स्ट्रक्चर था इसमें काफी एक रिफॉर्म्स आया और उसके परिणाम आप देखें। जीएसटी का कलेक्शन हमारे जो इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ है उसके कंपैरिजन में कहीं ज्यादा है।
A huge jump in GST collections shows the significance of the economic reforms. The GST revenue collection has now crossed the 1,50,000 crore rupees mark in the month of April this year, hitting the highest ever collection of 1,68,000 crore rupees. In the first 9 months also, the GST collection has crossed more than 1 lakh crore rupees level. Talking about the economic reforms since 2014, senior economic analyst A.K. Bhattacharya said that the implementation of Goods and Services Tax, that's GST, reforms in the banking sector and digitization of the economy have been such transformational steps that proved to be a game changer for the development of the country.
पहला सुधार है जो इंसॉल्वेंसी और बैंक्रप्सी कोड का प्रणयन बैंकों के नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट और जो कंपनियां खराब स्थिति में थी आर्थिक रूप से विलय करने का जो एक तरीका कानूनी तौर से अपनाया गया, ये बहुत बड़ा सुधार था। दूसरा जो सुधार हुआ है वो गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज टैक्स लाना, और तीसरा सुधार जनधन योजना और आधार और मोबाइल पेमेंट टेक्नोलॉजी के सम्मिश्रण से पेमेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को जो सशक्तिकरण किया गया है उससे भी अर्थी में बहुत बड़ा एक सुधार आया है।
The implementation of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code IBC has made loan disbursement easier and helped in reducing the distressed loans, that is NPAs, by cracking down on defaulters. The NDA government has paid special attention to digitization of the economy, which has significantly reduced cash payments and increased transparency in the economy. The growing digital payment system has also led to a rapid increase in the number of economic transactions, giving a boost to the economy. According to the National Payments Corporation of India, digital transactions worth of more than 9,70,000 crore rupees have been done through UPI in the country in April 2022.
इन 8 सालों में भारत में संचार क्रांति छाई है, जगह जगह इंटरनेट और हर हाथ यूपीआई है।
मैं अमित कुमार, मेरा छोटा सा स्टेशनरी का काम है। पिछले कुछ टाइम से जैसे मैं यूपीआई का इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ तो मुझे काफी सारी सुविधाएं हो रही हैं। जैसे लोग आते से पहले तो उनके पास कभी चेंज नहीं हुआ तो मुझे बड़ी दिक्कत होती थी। मैं उनसे यूपीआई के थ्रू पैसा ले लेता हूँ जो मेरे सीधा अकाउंट में चला जाता है, और इनकेस अगर मुझे किसी को देना होता है तो मैं भी यूपीआई से उनको ट्रांसफर कर देता हूँ।
While Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative of the Government of India has increased the confidence of domestic companies, the economy has also gained momentum at the local level with the approach of vocal for local. Speaking on this topic, economic analyst Professor Yamini Agarwal said that in order to enable the opportunity of enterprise to reach the lower and disadvantaged level of the population, the Government of India has started the Stand Up India scheme, which has also provided ample opportunities to the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and women entrepreneurs. In the last 8 years, the government has paid attention to large industries as well as medium and small industries. While economic reforms have been carried out in the MSME sector on the one hand, loans have been made available to them on easy terms under the Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme on the other.
विपिन वोरा, आई एम चेयरमैन ऑफ कॉन्टिनेंटल कैरियर्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड। जो क्रेडिट लाइन मोदी जी ने शुरू की है ये बिजनेसमैन के लिए बहुत ही अच्छी चीज है। बिजनेसमैन जो भी अगर प्रॉब्लम में था उसको एक हेल्प मिली है गवर्नमेंट के ये स्कीम से। जीएसटी लाना और कस्टम में भी फेसलेस चीजें लाना, ये सब चीजें एक बिजनेस को बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से कंट्रोल हो रहा है और फ्यूचर में इसका बहुत ज्यादा फायदा होगा।
The government has reformed and disinvested public companies under its approach of minimum governance, maximum good governance. In 2021-22, the NDA government has earned more than 13,500 crores from disinvestment and offer for sale. In 2022-23, Life Insurance Corporation's IPO and offers for sale in other companies have received a total of more than 24,000 crores. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke at the World Economic Forum conference in Davos on how India, through infrastructure development, is linking production and world supply chains and preparing itself for the times to come.
हर स्टेक होल्डर को एक ही प्लेटफॉर्म पर लाने के लिए भारत ने गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान भी शुरू किया है। आत्मनिर्भरता के रास्ते पर चलते हुए भारत का फोकस सिर्फ प्रोसेस को आसान करने पर ही नहीं है, बल्कि इन्वेस्टमेंट और प्रोडक्शन को इंसेंटिवाइज करने पर भी है। इसी अप्रोच के साथ आज 14 सेक्टर्स में $26 बिलियन की प्रोडक्शन लिंक इंसेंटिव स्कीम्स लागू की गई। फैब, चिप एंड डिस्प्ले इंडस्ट्री के निर्माण के लिए $10 बिलियन का इंसेंटिव प्लान इस बात का प्रमाण है कि ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन को स्मूथ बनाने के लिए हम कितने प्रतिबद्ध हैं।
These reforms made by the Modi government have given a tremendous boost to Indian exports. While the goods trade grew by 43% to reach the level of $420 billion, the exports in the services sector registered a growth of 19% to over $254 billion in 2021-22. With the economic reforms in the country, the outlook of the world community has changed positively towards India. This is the reason that while the level of foreign direct investment was $36 billion in 2013-14, it has increased to $83 billion in 2021-22. If we look at the total FDI during the period 2006 and 7 to 2013-14, it was $289 billion, which has increased to $524 billion between the period 2014-15 to 2021-22. Today, it is the effect of economic reforms in the country that entrepreneurs from home and abroad find it easier to do business in India. Due to the special attention of the government in this direction, India has jumped from 144th rank to 63rd position in the ease of doing business ranking today. Along with repealing and amending the laws that hinder the ease of doing business in the country, extensive reforms were also carried out in the labor laws, under which many old labor laws which had lost their relevance have been amended and many labor codes have been subsumed into only 4 labor codes.
जहां सालों तक श्रमिकों को, उद्योगों को सैकड़ों कानूनों के जाल में उलझाए रखा गया, वहीं आज दर्जनों श्रम कानून 4 लेबर कोड्स में समा चुके। जहां कभी कृषि को सिर्फ गुजारे का माध्यम माना जाता, वहीं अब कृषि में ऐतिहासिक रिफॉर्म्स के जरिए भारतीय किसानों के देश विदेश के मार्केट से सीधे जोड़ने का प्रयास हो रहा है।
For the transparency in the government buying, Government e-Marketplace, GEM, has been initiated, which is the largest platform for government procurement in the world. The GEM portal has given an opportunity to the micro, small and medium enterprises of the country to come on one platform, which has made it easier for the entrepreneurs to sell their products. Due to all of these economic reforms and efforts for ease of doing business, the ability of the common man has increased, due to which the participation of more and more people has been ensured in the economy and development of the country. People's confidence in the government has increased. Referring to these positive changes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said from the Red Fort that the journey that started with Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas has now added Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas to take India to the top. Reshma Tiwari for World News.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter @AIR News Alerts. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar began his engagements in Prague by meeting a delegation of Czech members of European Parliament on Sunday. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said there was a good discussion on India's ties with European Union and the Czech Republic, the Indo-Pacific, food and energy security and digital cooperation. In Bangladesh, the death toll in the inland container depot fire at Sitakund near the Chattogram port has risen to 37, with more bodies brought to the Chittagram Medical College and Hospital in the afternoon on Sunday. At least 5 firefighters are also included among the people who lost their lives during the devastating fire that started Saturday night. No official figures are available about the number of injured, but various sources put the number between 300 to 400, including more than a dozen firemen and police personnel. The death toll is likely to rise as several of the people brought to the hospital at Chattogram are in a serious condition. The fire is believed to have originated from a container storing highly inflammable chemicals for export. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has expressed profound shock and sorrow at the loss of lives and injuries in the BM container depot fire.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned the West that Russia would strike new targets if the United States started supplying Ukraine with longer-range missiles. According to TASS news agency report, Mr. Putin said that if such missiles are supplied, Russia will strike at those targets which they have not yet been hitting. He said the fuss around Western weapon supplies to Ukraine was designed to drag out the conflict. In an excerpt of an interview with Rossiya, one state television channel, he claimed that Russian anti-aircraft forces have shot down dozens of Ukrainian weapons. Ukraine has been seeking multiple rocket launch systems, MLRS, to strike troops and weapon stockpiles as the Russian forces rear U.S. President Joe Biden announced plans this week to give Ukraine precision HIMARS rocket system after receiving assurances from Kyiv that it would not use them to hit targets inside Russia.
In French Open tennis, Spaniard Rafael Nadal has won 14th singles title of the tournament, beating Casper Ruud of Norway 6-3, 6-3, 6-0 in the final. With this victory, 36-year-old Nadal has become the oldest champion at Roland Garros. It is his 22nd Grand Slam title. In women's singles, world number 1 tennis player Iga Swiatek clinched this year's title, beating US teenager Coco Gauff at Paris last evening. The 21-year-old Polish player won her second Grand Slam title in straight sets, 6-1, 6-3 over Gauff, who was making her first final appearance at the clay court slam.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. First, we have a look at the press reports on China. CNN reports China launched the third manned mission to its new space station on Sunday, sending 3 astronauts who will continue construction work for 6 months. BOA writes that China is expected to mount strong defense against US-backed maritime surveillance. The Klaxon, an investigative Australian newspaper, reported that they have obtained images and details of China's Air Force and Army conducting secretive exercises on its northeastern border with Russia along the Ussuri River. Now let's have a look at the press report from Nepal. The Kathmandu Post writes that in Nepal, general elections will be held within November or mid-December this year. Khabar Hub reports that the Nepal Chamber Expo 2022 will be held at Bhirukuti Mandap Exhibition Center from June 16 to 20th. Goods produced in Nepal, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and other countries will be displayed in the fair. Now let's have a look at the press report from Pakistan. As per GEO News, a special court in Lahore extended on Saturday the interim bail of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on his son, Punjab Chief Minister Hamza Shehbaz, till June the 11th in the 16 billion rupee money laundering case filed against them by the Federal Investigation Agency. Now let's have a look at the press reports on Bangladesh. Bangladesh Information Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood has said that the inquiry will reveal whether Chattogram container depot fire is an accident or sabotage, reports Daily Star. The banking sector of Bangladesh experienced a sharp rise in bad loans between January to March quarter, reports Business Standard. China launched its third manned mission to its under-construction space station on Sunday, sending another 3 astronauts to continue the final stages of the construction work at the Tiangong space station's Tianhe core module for 6 months before returning to Earth in December. China plans to have Tiangong space station fully crewed and operational by December 2022.
A quick look at the headlines once again. Global initiative Lifestyle for Environment movement, launched by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on World Environment Day, calls for human-centric and collective efforts that further sustainable development. Western nations are exploiting more resources of Earth and are responsible for largest carbon emissions, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India's Vice President Venkaiah Naidu holds delegation-level talks with Qatar Prime Minister in Doha, reviews bilateral ties. In Bangladesh, at least 37 people killed and around 400 injured in a fire at a container depot near Chattogram port. Russian President Vladimir Putin warns West against supplying longer-range missiles to Ukraine. And Rafael Nadal wins 14th men's singles title of French Open tennis, beating Casper Ruud 6-3, 6-3, 6-0 in the final. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Georgia. With that, we end this bulletin. We will be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.